Hello, thank you for joining me today. Dana here. Today I'll be sharing how to make this adorable little pig card using the new collection from my wonderful crafty friend Justine Dvorak. For the main image on this card, I will be using Daisy. She is the adorable little pig in the collection. Here I'm just lining the BetterPress plate up to make sure that the image will be right in the center of the card. This card front to start is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but I will end up cutting it down a bit. For the ink, I chose to use VersaFine Clair in the color Fallen Leaves. This is probably my favorite ink. I love that it's waterproof and it's brown, but it's dark brown. It's not quite black. It's a great color. After I got done inking up the image, I'm just wiping around the edges on the BetterPress system just to make sure that there's no extra ink or anything that could possibly transfer to the cardstock. And then I will run that through my Platinum 6. I am going to do a bit of masking for this card, so to create my mask, I just inked up the image again, and then I'm just using full stick Post-it notes, and I'm just pressing the Post-it note on the image. No need to actually run it through the BetterPress system for this. It transferred enough ink to where I could tell where the image was. And after I got that done, I just cut the cute little piggy out with my scissors. I chose to go ahead and just watercolor the image. To do that, I am using the Distress watercolor pencils and a watercolor brush from Spellbinders. After I got done watercoloring the image and letting it dry for a little bit, I went ahead and applied the masks because I'm going to be doing a little bit of ink smushing for the background. The first color for the ink smushing, I'm using Antique Linen Distress Oxide ink. And I just applied that to an acrylic block, misted it with a bit of water, and then I'm just putting it randomly on the background. And then drying that off with the heat tool. I decided I wanted to make it a tad bit darker, so I did the same thing with the tea dye Distress Oxide ink. I wanted to make this image look like it was almost painted on a piece of wood, so I grabbed my lumber texture fade from Tim Holtz and Sizzix, and I'm inking that up with Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink. I've found that the best way to ink up your embossing folders is to actually just wipe the ink pad across the folder versus inking it up like you would a stamp by tapping it. That just kind of keeps it a little bit cleaner and the ink doesn't get where you want it to not be. And then I'm going to go ahead and run that through my Platinum 6. For the sandwich that I use for my machine for the texture fades, I use the base plate, the Platinum, the platform top, and then in between those two I do 3 shims. It could be different for your machine depending on how old it is, but this is what works for my machine. And this is how it turned out with the mask still on. I'm so excited to remove this mask. I can't wait to see what it looks like. Here I'm just very, very carefully removing the mask. Even though it is a post-it note and they're not really sticky, it did just go through the die cutting machine with a lot of pressure and now it has texture in it. So I wanted to make sure I did not rip the cardstock. And here's how it looks. I'm so excited. It's so cute. I can't wait to do this with the other images in the collection. I do want to mat this on a piece of craft cardstock, so I'm just cutting down that panel to about 4 by 5 1/4. And then I just inked around the edges with the tea dye Distress Oxide ink and my foam blending tool. I decided I wanted to make the craft cardstock a tad bit darker, so I'm just inking around the edge that will actually show with the Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink. And I'm just doing that using my foam blending tool. I wanted to add some metal brads to make the image look like it was almost nailed onto the card. So I just grabbed some metal brads, and I generally don't poke holes in my cards to actually push the brads through like you're supposed to use them. I just cut off the little metal pokey bits and then I just glue them on the front of the card. That's easier for me. Before I glued them down, I did want to go ahead and adhere the card front to the matting piece there. And to do that, I'm just using some foam tape. After getting the main image adhered, I'm just gluing down the little brad tops using my Collage Medium, and I'm using the one in the bottle. I wanted to leave this for the last step to make sure that the brads were really dry before I started moving it around. This card is actually part of an Instagram hop. If you want to check that out, my Instagram is linked down in the description box below. There are loads of wonderful makers in this hop, so I highly recommend checking it out. Thank you again for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this card, and as always, take some time to pamper your inner goddess, and I will see you in the next one.